Hello, welcome back to Richmond. I'm Chris. Continuing on from the last video with the goods shed, we have now started to lay track and hopefully it'll all line up. So why don't we go and have a look? And we've got other things to show you as well, more static grass. So instead of watching me waffle, let's get on with the model trains. Here we are in the goods yard and you can see we've glued the track down. And we did that last night, and we just need to lift these drawing pins now. This piece here hasn't been done yet, and I've literally just cut that to length. And as you can see by the pen marks, what I do is when I'm laying track, I mark it out with marker pen, and I draw on the outline of it, and then I use that as a guide to put the copy decks down to glue it. So, as mentioned before, we use copy decks to glue the track down. I've been doing that for many years. Let me just take out the drawing pins that are holding this piece of track down. We've got the pins out, so what we're going to do now is we're going to put the goods shed in position. And you'll see here, I've glued down some cork strips just to bring the ground level up a little bit more. So when I do ballast and put soil and whatnot in, it's not going to take that much. Just take a bit just to sight the goods shed. That's pretty much it. And we'll just get a wagon just to test and make sure that we've laid the track right and the goods shed is in the right position. So we've got a kit built wagon there. It's my Parkside fish van. It's the only kit built wagon that I've built on the layout. And it runs quite well, you know, it's alright, the wheels are okay. Anyway, I digress. So that goes through there nicely. It's not much clearance, and there as well, that's absolutely fine. And yeah, that'll do. Let's just put the wagon back from whence it came. So this piece here, it just curves around a little bit, and just here will be a wall going along like the front of the concourse just to separate it from the goods yard, and that'll continue sort of down to there somewhere. And what we've done with this little platform, we've cut it for now just to suit the location, and it sits there like that. So as we've mentioned before in the previous video, it is the wrong shape. It should be curving that way rather than sort of bowing inwards. My scratch builder wasn't aware of the exact profile I needed for it at the time, so he's just built one just to show how the goods shed goes together, and he'll be sending me some PDF files with the textures needed to build a new platform face. It's not a passenger platform, it's a loading dock, and it represents sort of ground level. This will probably sort of sink down to ground level a bit more smoothly. I need to consult the photos of the real Richmond just to decide. So at some point we'll be ballasting in there. So what I may do is just cover the goods shed building in cling film just to protect it from the moisture when I'm ballasting. And there you go, that's the goods shed down. I'll tell you what I'll do as well while we're on camera. I'll glue that little bit of track down just so you can see the process I used to glue it down. So let's relocate over to that end of the yard. So here we are in the goods yard. We've marked the track out already, and we'll just pull this out so you can see. So what we do is just open this top on the drawing pins. So we just get the copy decks and we just paint it on there. Doesn't have to be a thick coat of copy decks as long as it's enough for the track to adhere to. And then we'll just slide this piece of track on the rail joiners carefully, just so the rail joiners all match up and join up properly. There we go. And then we'll just gently curve it round and start sticking drawing pins in to maintain the curve while this copy deck is drying, just to keep that piece of track in shape. Because it's goods yard and there'll be no locos coming down this part of the yard, it doesn't have to be that precise as long as it doesn't derail any wagons. And we're curving it like that just so it makes enough space in the yard for road vehicles and loading as it would have done on the real thing. Put a couple more in just for good measure, and then I'll leave that until tomorrow or even Monday. There we go. So back to the static grass thing. So here's the area that we've grassed. I'll just move this cow out of the way, put it next to the tank there. Oh yeah, tanks. Anyway, let's just move this as well, just out of the way so we don't get this wet. So what we're going to do is we're going to introduce a little bit of colour just sort of around there. So I bought some more stuff this week. So we've been ordering from War World Scenics. So there we go. There's their layering spray, some of their 2mm wild meadow grass, and some of their 6mm summer grass. So what we're going to do is we're going to put a bit of the wild meadow sort of in there, and we're going to put some of the 6mm sort of along the fence, just to give the impression that the longer grass, they can't, the animals can't get to it, etc. And we might put some longer grass down here as well and just mix it all up. So let's just get the static grass applicator. It's not a really expensive one, it's basically just one that's been made from a tub and a fly swatting thing, but it doesn't matter, it does the job. As you can see, the grass I've already put down. I've been watching some of the videos that War World Scenics and others have done. So the grass that's down at the minute, that's the mix that I've been using. I've used some Woodland Scenics medium green and some summer green from Gauge Master, which is the stuff that Knock do. And if you can see, there's a couple of places where I've put sort of grass tufts, which are these. They're just some no-name stuff I bought from a railway show for a couple of quid years ago, and I've never used them. I'm assuming that they should have been self-adhesive, but the glue has dried out, and I've had to sort of glue them in with PVA. Just here around the signal box, we've used some foliage clumps, which loosely glued in. They're Javis. Oh no, they're not. They're Woodland Scenics medium green foliage bushes. So what we're going to do is we're just going to spray some of this. So instructions for use, I'm not going to let you read them, I'll read them out to you. So we're going to glue the area to be covered with a basing glue and put some 1 to 2mm basing static grass down. So we've done that. And step 3, using the layering spray adhesive to build up your layers of the grasses from 2, 4 and 6mm selection to create your desired grass effect. And it does say it's not necessary to wait for the glue to dry in between layers, but I did ask, I think it's Martin at WWS, he did say that it was okay using it after the glue's dried, so we just pump it on and spray it. So what we'll do is we'll pop some of this wild meadow grass into the applicator, and while we're doing this we'll get the controllers off, just make sure the track power's disconnected, and we'll just put a little bit in there. There we go, it's a little bit. So you can see there's a little bit in there. We don't need to put much in there. We're not covering the whole area with grass. And what we'll do is we'll just pump. What we'll do first, is we'll put the top back on the applicator, making sure that the wire is touching the mesh, and then we'll just spray a bit of the layering spray. That should be enough, and then we'll use this little pin here, this little tack, just to somewhere, there we go, just as a ground for the static grass. And then we can just slowly add a bit of colour in there. You don't need to do it too high. There we go, so a tiny bit of colour in there. It's all gone now, so what we'll do is just put a little bit more in there. I think I underestimated how much grass I actually needed for that. And it is coming at me. You can see a little bit of colour in there, a bit of yellow in there already. Just don't want to use too much of it because there's not much. I mean, that was like £2 or £3 for that little 10 gram bag. I wasn't really sure what the weights meant and how big the bags were. Now we know that 10 grams is a tiny bag and 20 grams is a massive bag. It doesn't seem right, but now we know. Right, so we'll try again. So just hold it just off the ground. Just get a little bit of colour in there. And we'll do the same sort of there. And that's all gone. So let's just take that out. And there you go. That's give it quite a bit of colour. So what we can do now is move on to the 6mm summer grass there. And we're going to sort of put some along the fence and on the railway side of the fence. So let's just spray a bit more of this. Oops, that's got on the track. Don't worry about that. Move those cottages out of the way a bit. We'll just spray a bit more on there as well. And we'll take the lid off the static grass again. Apologies if I'm waffling. Static grass is quite new to me still. So hopefully a little bit more. If we go over it's okay. So what we'll do after we've done this, we'll leave it for a bit and then we'll hoover up the excess sort of fibres. Jesus, that's... See, there's a bit of electric shock in there. That's made the hairs on my arm stand up. Don't do this at home, kids. So there we go, we're on the ground again. So we'll just put a bit of these fibres down. And it does seem to be clumping a bit, this static grass, so let's just yeah, it's okay. Let's just try and put this pin a bit further down, around there somewhere. There we go. So it gives a little bit less distance to cover. Should move that water crane out of the way. Spray a bit more of this laying spray on. Put a bit more grass in there as well while we're at it, as it seems to have run out. So let's just put a bit more grass in there. This is actually quite good stuff, these grass fibres. You sound surprised, I hear you say. Right, so just want the layering spray to dry out while I'm doing this. So a bit more there, and a bit more on there. Just get a little bit of a layered effect. And yeah, they're coming out, you know, quite. What I'm going to have to do afterwards is clean it all off the fence. So it's a bit more in there. Let's see how that looks. No. So yeah, that doesn't look too bad. Let's just see if we can zoom in and see what you think. So yeah, there's a bit of colour in there, isn't there? And there's a bit of sort of the longer grass. Let's just have a butcher's. And that looks quite good. I mean, I'll probably have to hoover a bit. And yeah, that looks quite good. I'm quite happy with that. I probably had some more sort of these tufts around the fence, but I'm quite happy with that. It looks quite good. So this layering spray, yeah, that gets a thumbs up from me. That works absolutely fine. And this new grass, the wild meadows, certainly gave some colour to an otherwise sort of plain green sort of hillside. We just zoom out and look again. So that looks quite good. I'm quite happy with that. And if we just put the signal box back in place, there we go. And I'm quite pleased with that grass. It's you can say what you like about the expensive static grass applicators. A £20 one does the job just as well. Yeah, all right, it's the more expensive one, you know, you get what you pay for. But one of the other things I want to do as well, especially with that wild meadow stuff, is use that around buffer stops. In particular, the head shunt for the goods yard. And there we go. So we're just getting. So obviously the glue has stuck the static grass onto the wires of the fence. We'll go around it again after the glue's all dried and get that off. And there you go. So I'm very, very pleased with that. And I hope you've enjoyed that quick video. So I'm hoping as well, if we just pan back round to the goods shed, I'm hoping in the next week to be able to make the platform, the loading dock, and hopefully at some point I can start cutting the baseboard over there to accept the coal drops that I'm going to build. So that's a job for this coming week. So we've got to lift those 2 tracks that we've put down the goods yard. There's another point that needs to go in next to the loco shed. And hopefully the next video you'll see a bit more progress in the goods yard. So I hope you've enjoyed this video. As always, please, you know, give it a thumbs up if you like the video. Feel free to leave as many comments as you like. I'll reply to everybody. And thank you for watching, and thank you for your continued support. And I'll speak to you soon. Goodbye.